My name is Jason Fong. I'm a high school student, and this is my life story. Relating to Asian American history, the first time I had any desire was like, going to history class and always wondering like, oh, where's my community? Where are we in the history? Why aren't we not included in the history book? And then my parents kind of guided me towards the first book I ever read on Asian American history, Takaki's Strangers from a Different Shore, and that was really like kind of my first like normative experience with Asian American history, and my love of like community work and community activism kind of grew from there. Well, it was in direct response to Jeb Bush's comments about anchor babies and the Asian community. I just generally wanted to give our community a voice, because it's not often in the presidential discussion or in political discourse in general for our community to be brought up. So I just wanted to give our community a voice to tell our stories and insinuate that we are part of the American narrative. And I just wanted to help our community make our stories be heard.
This is ludicrous for the Clinton campaign and others to suggest that somehow I'm using a derogatory term. What I was talking about was the specific case of fraud being committed where there's organized efforts, and frankly, it's more related to Asian people.
I would say it is pretty dangerous, especially not so much for Trump, given that a lot of, Americans and, moderate political Americans see him as pretty right wing, pretty kind of radical on that side. Mm-hmm. So maybe they might not take what he says as seriously, but someone like Jeb Bush and the more moderate Republicans, that is very damaging to our community and to the immigrant community in general because of the negative connotations and the negative way that they describe and portray those communities. And for a lot of Americans who haven't had that much exposure and exposure to those communities, it is really harmful because if that's the message that they're being bombarded with, that's how they'll see people of color and the immigrant community. So it definitely is very harmful. Mm-hmm. I was really excited. Honestly, I didn't really foresee it becoming such a big thing, but I thought that was awesome because I originally just thought it would be, a nice little avenue for our community to just share our stories, but I found people using it to comment on other issues, facing them as Asian Americans, the model minority stereotype. They use it to talk about affirmative action. They use it to stand in solidarity with other communities. And they use it to educate, other Americans about Asian American history and Asian American experiences. So I mean, I was thrilled with how it developed and how it progressed. Yeah, I mean, I did see the LA Times article. That one I was interviewed directly. Same for the NBC one. But I was actually surprised, when I saw myself on the CNN article. I was like, oh, I wasn't contacted directly. They just kind of pulled the quotes from the LA Times article. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was interesting, how one news source fed off the other. I mean, I didn't have any negative reactions. I thought it was great that these major news outlets were helping raise awareness, about our community and the struggles that we face. So I mean, it was awesome, and the good thing was they didn't misconstrue our message and misconstrue like what we were trying to say. So they let us tell our own stories and just use them as an outlet. So that was awesome. I guess the first change, in my opinion, or the biggest change could be made, in the school system. Educationally, I think if you start, educating people of color in the schools, like when we teach American history, it should include those of all different kinds of backgrounds. It shouldn't be just a whitewashed version of history. I think that being the first step will encourage a lot of people to like learn more about themselves, learn more about the community issues that they're involved in. I think that would help. And I found one thing that I found really interesting too was like a lot of students, high school students, are not really aware of their like legal rights, as and how they might be violated by like police or other authorities. So I think that's another avenue that we could direct them. I think students are like more than well aware of like the political side. I think it's those other sides that they should be like more guided towards. Other than raising awareness, about our issues and kind of interjecting ourselves into the political debate, I would say, always affirmative action. I've been following the Black Lives Matter movement, movement, and the police abuse of the minority communities and racial profiling. I want to increasing access to higher education for minorities. Yeah, I mean, I would say those are some issues I'm definitely passionate about.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, to me, to those people who would dismiss the hashtag is just Twitter activism and not really like making a big difference in society. My response to that would be, it's similar to voting in that each individual person is expressing their opinion and interjecting themselves into the political debate. So it's a really powerful tool to do that. And then to add to that,
Yeah.
just given like the Arab Spring and the Black Lives Matter I don't know why I keep mispronouncing that. The Black Lives Matter movement. I think those are just two great examples of how social media can really galvanize a social movement and be a springboard for social change. Where do I want to be in 10 years? Well, definitely I'm more inclined to like a liberal arts, like writing, something based around writing. I mean, I would like to be involved, in community activism in some way, whether that be like my primary occupation or secondary. I don't know. But yeah, and then I think I could also see myself like teaching at like higher education too.
Mhm.
I think that in higher education there's such a lack of minority teachers, so I think that would bring like a different perspective to those of the minority and colored communities and kind of like helping them reach their academic goals.
Mhm.
That'd be helpful.
Okay.
There's so many different ways. I guess the thing that I would tell them is to find one specific issue that they're passionate about and start following a lot of different news outlets, because that'll kind of direct you to, I'm really interested in this, I want to learn more about it. And then as you learn more about it, and you do research online and stuff, you can kind of become part of different communities that support or are working towards the same goal as you, and that's how you would become directly involved.